This bonus podcast has been brought to you by our patrons. If you're interested in seeing the behind the scenes every week, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/shriekingwizard. These questions are from Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. You can find us on Tumblr at highhopesthererolls.tumblr.com, on Twitter at estwizardco, and on Instagram at the Shrieking Wizard Co. Though I took these questions from my story. I'm on Instagram at Jennifer Lucy Budd, but I swear I didn't just do this for promo. Okay, so happy holidays, everybody. This is just like a little bonus thing that I wanted to throw together so that I personally could say thank you to everybody who's supported us this year. But also because it's Christmas and I felt like you shouldn't really go without on the week of. So in the room with me are Oliver, who is our sound tech engineer person and also our composer. And she was drawing, but she has stopped so that she can stare at me, is Amy.
Hi.
So if you hear them in the background, that's them, but they don't have microphones. So shall we start with some questions from Tumblr? Because they, unsurprisingly, are the ones that sent in the most, by far. So, Anonymous asks, this is probably too far deep into spoiler territory, but is Paddy's family alright? Are they dead? Did they get kidnapped? I just want to know if they're alive. And then there's like, in less spoiler territory, are there any were versions of other animals in this world, like were birds, were snakes? Though those would be Yanti. Were butterflies. I can't answer about Paddy's family because the party themselves do not know that yet. Paddy doesn't know. His dad, I don't know if this was clear in chapter 2, but his dad is presumed dead sort of before Paddy joins the party. When we see his siblings saying goodbye to him and handing off his mask, it's mentioned that Ronan is now the patriarch of the family. Ronan's the eldest son, because at this point their dad is already gone. But as for the rest of them, we don't know. It's a good time.
Disclaimer, I had no idea.
You had no idea?
No, I never picked up on that.
Oh, okay.
Spoilers.
Well,
For me, oh my god.
As for the other were animals, hell yeah.
Airfish.
Not the DMG, the monster manual actually already lists a couple of different versions, so we'll be using those at some point. Like were-boar, were-tiger, that kind of thing. And maybe we'll throw some homebrew stuff in there as well. You'll just have to wait and see, I'm afraid. Any and All Fiction asks, how's Alex doing? Did his recovery go smoothly? He's the best person to ask this, but yeah, he's pretty great. He's really happy. He was really dopey for like 3 days after his surgery. He was so tired, bless him, but he's pretty much back to normal. He needs a couple more weeks of, getting back into the swing of things, back into the movement of normal life, but he's great. He's absolutely fine. He's more than great. He's happy, and that's really important. They also asked about the dragon in Chapter 0. Was it your basic red dragon, albeit likely in Great Worm stage, or was it a different chromatic? The funny thing about this dragon is that it's not actually red. It's red in the episode, but in the story, in the game, it's actually the dragon. It's our very first session. The Destruction of Imaden is the very first game that we played, and it was a white dragon, and Alex wasn't there. Amy was, and she forgot. It was a white dragon originally. It's not particularly significant as a character, other than it was the first dragon that y'all saw. It was the first major bad guy. So yeah, I mean, it was also just like a big adult dragon. It was not an encounter that they were supposed to fight, even though Liam did try. Like, Nagar did attempt to stand his ground, and we had to put him to sleep to get him out of the fight. But yeah, it was just your basic bitch adult dragon. Another anonymous person asks, are there any villains you had fun running that you can tell us about without spoiling future HHLR chapters? I love all of them. The villains are my favourite. I really do love them. Hydrasil is in, you see him be, reborn basically in chapter 0. He's the big bad of the series. Dragon Daddy is what he's like colloquially known as when we're doing boards and stuff. He is great. He's not been in it loads because he's like the bad guy. He's like the big bad. But the sort of times when he pops up is my favorite thing about the villains is how everybody else reacts to them. Like, it makes the party like scream and stuff like around the table when the villains turn up, and it's just so satisfying. Yeah. If it's a particularly bad time, then things get thrown around. I can't tell you any more than that though. Like, they're all coming up and they're all so good. I can't wait, but we can't talk any more about any of those. How does the party celebrate holidays? That's also anonymous. And the players too. Mostly getting drunk. They're not really around for holidays very much. They're usually on the move. There was the whole missing 3 years thing, thanks to the Fae, before Paddy joined the party. So actually they haven't really, like as a group, done much of holidays or public celebrations or having a nice time in general. Mostly they've just been suffering, I think that's pretty fair to say. So other than taking the alcohol when it's offered, not much else.
We remember birthdays every now and then.
Oh yeah, every now and then we remember a birthday. And then we get drunk.
Yeah.
Yes. Another Anon says, what's a weird, cute, fun fact about you? I have virtually no sense of smell. That's a pretty good one, right?
Yeah. Every single day. I go up to him, I'm like, Jenny, can you smell this? Oh no, never mind. Every single day, without fail.
She can't even smell if the milk is off.
No.
Like, that really is...
Yeah, the number of times in my life as a child where I ate, like, cereal with bad milk was... I mean, I just
It's too late.
Yeah, I just don't anymore. There you go. If the party were Christmas carols, what would they be? I asked this of the party about 2 seconds before I started recording because I had absolutely no idea. Hashan is Silent Night because she craves silence. Tuolin is Jingle Bells. Mina is Carol of the Bells. The Ding Dong one for Gimgar. What you mean by
Ding
that?
Dong merrily on high. Oh my god. But we all know what it sounds like, so that's okay, you know.
Oh, and then Tuolin has changed her mind. She wants to be Jingle Bell Rock, which is not Carol. Phil is very specific here. He says the first Noel, but the version by Pentatonics. And Gwen would like to be the one by Sia. Santa's coming for us. So not Christmas carols, but there you go. That's all you're going to get. Uh,
I feel like
That's a really hard
projecting
question.
On the enemies coming for us, we're gonna die.
Yeah, I guess.
Hydrasil is Santa.
No. Hydrasil is Krampus, right?
Oh God, he is.
He's not Santa Claus. He's Krampus.
Yeah,
He's gonna come get you. Like, it's a bad time.
We've been good. Fuck off.
Another anonymous person asks, to the DM, hello, that's me. I am interested in learning about the Dragonborn in your world. Do they have specific societies, or are they part of the general public? Furthermore, what can you tell us about the worship of Tiamat? Well, this is a plot-heavy question.
My favourite subject.
So, when Paddy joins the party, you'll seen in chapter 1, there is this retelling of events around the world, right? So we talk about the fall of two great and distant cities, Imarden and Bairoth. Imarden you see in chapter 0, although be it briefly. Bairoth is it's the Dragonborn city. Here's a spoiler. There's a section of the map that is not on the map, that hasn't been in the videos yet, that is known throughout Arcaden as the Dragon's Nest. It is an island at the top of the world. It is icy, it is cold. And the great walled city of Bairoth was its capital until it was destroyed by
the big dragon daddy.
by Hydrasil and Hydrasil's forces. This is where Nagar is from, and you will get to see more of this and more of this story as it advances, but the integration of Bairothians and the people who lived outside the city, those are the free companies, their integration into the wider Arcadan society is a fairly major plot point. Hashan is from Bairoth, for example, and when we meet her in the episode, whenever she arrives in the story, you will start to see more of that. So yes, they are now a part of the general public, though not willingly. They are refugees from their home. What can you tell us about the worship of Tiamat? It's a bad time.
Big dragon mama.
It's very underground in free societies, obviously, because Tiamat is evil, right? After Imarden fell, Imarden becomes the hub for Tiamat worship in the bulk of the world, basically, and the nest after Bairoth falls. Bahamut's influence is mostly gone from the world at that point, because primarily Dragonborn were the people who were worshipping him, and now he doesn't exist, right? Like, their temple was gone with their city, so his influence is kind of waning. Hashan, when we meet her, will be one of the few paladins who are left, the few clergy who are left. So at this point in the story, the worship of Tiamat is growing rapidly and is beginning to basically outmaneuver the worship of Bahamut. The scale is being tipped in Tiamat's favour. It's fervent and it's evil and it's about hoarding, right? Because she's the Dragon Queen. She loves the hoarding of precious things. So it's also about raiding and destruction. And its influence on the surrounding areas around Imarden in the former Imadi Republic is very palpable. The Eastern world has seen a lot of refugees. A lot of people have escaped its influence because what they do not destroy, they take. So there's not a lot left for people to live on. it's not a nice time. Other than that, I can't really be super specific because one of the players is sat opposite me. I can't tell you any more than that. Okay, so another anonymous person says, what is the single most dumb, reckless, and altogether not thought through action one of our heroes have done? For some reason, my bet is on Brio or Paddy. That's not for some reason, that's because Brio is a psychopath. And then they give an example about their druid revealing themselves to a town full of people and a witch hunt, sparking a witch hunt, basically, when their party is full of spellcasters. So there's like a whole range of dumb stuff. Like D&D seems to be a series of stupid decisions held together by good intentions, I think. You might have seen the comic we posted on Tumblr a while ago of Nagar and Gimgar's plan for fighting the Beholder, which was put Gimgar in its mouth.
We prepped that idea for a week,
Yep.
and nobody stopped us. Nobody told us it was a bad idea. Me and Liam were so hyped, right? And we were like, yeah, it's a real good idea. Nobody said no, so we were like, can't be bad.
The session before the fight, I said, "Hey lads, this is going to be a big one. You might want to look at all your spells and sort of think of a plan." I was thinking like, oh well, we'll put some buffs on the party and we'll think about where we're all going to stand, because they walked into the room at the end of the session, so they knew kind of vaguely the layout. I even thought that maybe Liam might get a little bit meta and like go and look up beholders and look up their stats, which would have been naughty and meta and not fun. Well, you did, but
it didn't teach me anything.
Apparently the end result of that was that I need to get in its mouth.
No, we had an immovable rod, and I was like, if I can shove it in its throat, then we can fuck it up. Didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work. Because it just like, yeah, a series of unsuccessful rolls. That would be one of those times. There's a really super early on, maybe the third session we had ever played. Torlin almost dies because Nagar and Rook desecrate, somewhat on accident, a skeleton. And the ghost wasn't really happy, and Torlin was like, "Hi, how are you? My name is Torlin." And it just like put its hand through her chest, and you were all level 1. She went straight down. Man, that was the first time I'd ever like really scared you guys. Like you had this concept of, oh shit, our characters can die. It was a good time for me. Okay, here's an anon that sent in some quickfire questions. On a scale of 1 to 5, how afraid of the dark are you? I think it's context dependent, but usually a solid 4.
Don't want to be in the flat alone.
Don't want the zombies to bite me ankles, yeah.
We're on the ground floor. Damn.
You want to tell them how much I scream at you guys? Please add the context, I am practically blind.
Opens door, burn!
Amy gets very angry at us for like existing.
We're just trying to live our lives.
Yeah. If you're a tree, what kind would you be? Wenge.
What's that?
It's an African hardwood with a dark, like almost black core. Yeah, that's there to replace. Well, we use it to, instead of using European darkwoods that are severely endangered, and as a consequence, Wenge is also severely endangered.
Of course.
Yeah.
I was going to say oak.
Is that the only tree you know?
I know birch. And cedarwood. And pine.
I would be MDF.
Ah, yes, that majestic MDF tree.
Yes, some
that one ball.
fine microdensity fiber.
Look, I've been chopped up and glued back together.
Nagar's answer to, sorry, just to jump back to Nagar's answer to what Christmas Carol are you is Killing in the Name of by Rage Against the Machine.
Of course.
Because of course.
Of course.
Nagar has a dirty soul and I'm disappointed in him.
What is your current desktop picture? It is the poster that you can get on Redbubble. Plug. What is the colour of your favourite shirt?
What is your favourite shirt?
I don't know. I can tell you the colour of my favourite hoodie is like dark red. It's maroon. It's my favourite because it's soft, because it's comfortable, and because Jazz stitched the high hopes logo onto the back of it for me. The best. You can see that on my Instagram. Plug. Do you prefer sunrise or sunset? I think sunrise is probably more beautiful, but I am never awake for them, so...
That's not true. No,
Well-
wait, no, we're like, what?
What?
The sun is up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose we're not awake when the sunrise happens. Yeah, never mind.
No. I mean, I say sunrise is probably more beautiful, but only because I've seen 1,000 sunsets because I'm always awake for them, right? Yeah, no, I don't get up in the morning. Are you a good liar? I'm a dungeon master. I lie professionally.
It's the worst.
What is your favourite colour of the alphabet? My favourite colour is red, and my favourite letter is J.
So a red J then.
Yes.
That colour red, but with a silent J at the front.
I hope this helps.
Jed.
This is
Dread. That's Jenny.
Squareheart asks, does the world of HHLR have a sort of Christmas-esque winter celebration? If so, how do people celebrate? Well, Arcaden is a whole world, so obviously not all people have the same traditions. So we'll talk about Kadar, which is like the hub city for High Hopes. Kadar doesn't have... It has a sort of... I haven't named it yet because I've not been there for it. But it's a sort of week-long feasting holiday that runs up to the New Year. Kadar does, yeah.
We're never there for it.
No, you never are. Because Kadar is a merchant city, right? Like, its entire history is based on trade and banking. So, sort of at the end of the year, there's always like this massive blowout where all the money gets spent and stuff. And, you know, it's like lining up new deals and things, right? Like, it's like a relatively capitalist holiday. But I mean, Christmas is too these days. So if you live in the Kadari lowlands, which is like the areas outside of the city, more farming and stuff, it's so much more about, you know, nature. Like how traditional Christmas in Britain is, where like, you know, Santa is this representative of you know, nature and earth and stuff. Y'all are looking at me like I'm crazy, but
I wasn't even looking at you. I was looking at the wall behind
oh,
you.
okay. Well then, so yes, there are lots of different Christmas-esque and, you know, winter/New Year's traditions in Arcaden, but they're not all the same. And High Hopes have literally never been around to celebrate any of them. Beher graphics. It's spelled Behr graphics.
Initials or something.
Oh, maybe.
Oh man.
Has anyone ever had interesting in-game fails? Like, not funny, just strange outcomes? The thing that jumps to mind is that whenever Hashan rolls a nat 1, I make her hurt Nagar.
You just make me hurt.
Yeah. Nagar got stolen by a big bird. Yeah. The other things you put were like kind of spoilers, right?
Oh, really?
Like I'm taking a risk.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you should drop one though, shouldn't you?
Oh, shit though.
You should just drop one.
Well, I'm taking a risk is in the Vine video, right? So
Yeah, but the context isn't
Yeah,
there,
that's true.
right? How about Alex drew this picture after one of our games that is on social media somewhere, where of the werebear in the boat,
oh,
and the party's like running to engage it, except for Brio who's running away.
yeah. She's like, nah.
In that instance, Alex's, I mean, this isn't like a Nat 1 fail or anything, but I think it counts as a fail.
Bad to see.
Paddy / Alex's logic is like, well, if I electrocute the bear, it'll calm down.
No. I remember in the game.
Sensible.
I remember in the game, right, Gimgar being like, right, we need to like leave him alone, let him have his time. We'll shut the door, and we'll come back later. It's fine, just leave him alone. And Paddy was like,
We need to let him have his time of the month.
yeah, yes. And Paddy was like, hey, I'm gonna grab the chain and shock him. It'll make him pass out. I was like, he's a werebear. And I was like,
Yeah.
don't do that. You'll just piss him off. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, has a lot of hit points. It's not quite enough to knock him out. Apollo Helion? Apollo Helion? It doesn't matter, I guess. Thank you for your question, Apollo Helion. They ask, how much do you tend to plan ahead of time? Do you do story beats that you'd want to hit, or do you plan somewhat detailed? It ranges very drastically. If I have a good idea, I'll write it down, and then we'll sort of wind our way towards it. But that does not necessarily have to happen sort of in line with the planning of the sessions anyway. So, like, I'll be on the train or something and I'll think, oh, hey, that's really cool. So I'll take a note of it. And then in 6 months' time, it happens. What used to be the case was that genuinely some of the best sessions we've ever had were because I was walking to the train station to go to uni the day of the session, having done absolutely no prep. And I was, like, obsessed with like one hook or one line or maybe one song that I was even listening to that on repeat, and I'd be like, okay, rad, this is how we're going to start the session. And then I blast through all of that like intermediary quick planning that I had done in like maybe 5 minutes, and then we just improv from there. I'd like to think I'm a pretty good, like, I guess, liar, because I don't think none of you ever noticed that I didn't know what I was going to do 5 minutes after we started.
Told us that, like, you hadn't actually prepped anything, you were winging it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only time we've ever known. But
Oh, there's a really good thing coming up. I say coming up. Just at the end of season 1, beginning of season 2 of High Hopes or Rolls, which is so good. It's such a good moment, and honestly, all of it was just off the cuff. I knew sort of 5 minutes in what was going to happen, and then what happened after that literally took us all afternoon. Like, we started playing at 2, we didn't finish until like 10. It was insane. All of that happened because Gimgar made a certain choice.
I remember that.
Man, it was
Look,
so good.
I saved the day.
Yeah, sure. Anon asks, who are the BFFs of the group? Gimgar and Nagar in the party that you get currently on screen. And then Hashan's like everybody's mum, so Hashan and Paddy, Hashan and Mina, all of the sweet baby children.
Nagar had no choice in the friendship of Gimgar and Nagar, by the way. Gimgar was like, yeah, you're a big bitch and you like to punch stuff. We're best friends now.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay. He was like, I don't know what that is, but cool.
Oh, Gimgar and Torlin.
Oh, yeah. I think that's... I don't know. Can I say anything?
Well, yeah, I think so.
It's like known, isn't it?
Like, they're super, super best friends. They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know that they're in love with each other, but
Yeah,
that's what it
they're
is,
really
right?
aware of it.
Like, if you asked any of them at this point, either of them, rather, at this point, they'd be like, oh, yeah, we're best friends, but they don't have a clue.
Yeah, they're not aware. Well, Torlin probably does. Gimgar, no idea.
Your true nemesis asks, as a fellow DM, hello, by the way, you are the saviour of us all, which is hilarious. If I'm the saviour, we are all doomed. Do you have any advice on how to say no to things? I have a bad habit of accidentally allowing my players to become unreasonably OP for their level.
Oh my god, you're so strict. You literally...
Do you think that?
Yeah.
I tell you what it is. I'm absolutely terrified of making you too OP for your level. I don't. Here's the real thing. I don't really understand the mechanics of the game on a level where, like, we use a little bit of homebrew stuff. Mostly it's stuff that I've pulled from. Oh, I say a little bit. It is very, very little. I do not like messing with the numbers because I just don't understand the maths, and I'm worried that I'm going to break the game. So that's basically, I say no to most stuff. But also, like, here's an example. When Matt plays Rook, when Rook is doing magic science and he wants to do, so in our most recent session he did this really cool thing where he got like detect magic tattooed onto his hand, and he has like these magic tattoos that basically allow him to use his hands as a telescope. That's really cool. It took us about 3 hours to get to that point, because when Matt's explaining, oh, well, this could do this, and then I wanted to be able to do that, I had to start thinking about limitations, right? And Matt watches my face as like the maths of the game mechanic starts to like appear in front of my face, and then I start to blue screen, and he's like, okay, maybe not.
You want to see that gif of that woman who's staring at all the maths.
Yeah. I'm just too afraid of breaking the game. There's probably stuff I could do to remedy this. Don't want to.
I think it works.
I could read a book that.
I have read the books.
I know, but
It's a lot. I mean,
It feels very like a delicate balance.
Yeah.
But also the way you DM makes it so much fun as well, because you provide challenges, but you can be really strict, and that's good for us because it makes the game just so good.
It's
also I'm not
also
very good at words, but
There's a good balance.
oh yeah, you're real good at it.
It's also because I want the bad guys to win.
Yeah.
Like when I'm playing them, it's very hard to remember not to.
The amount of dice I've thrown at your head because you have made us suffer so much.
Ooh boy.
Amazed you still have both of your eyes.
Spicy.
Somebody asks, an anon asks, wasn't there a small goblin girl, a goblin bard? Yes, her name is Brio. Another anon asks, who's the most likely to do arson? Brio.
Yeah.
Weird question, I know, but do you guys have like playlists for your characters? This is not a weird question at all. We do have playlists for all of the characters that you can see on screen at the moment. They are available on our Spotify account, which is Shrieking Wizard. You can find links to that on our Patreon. You don't have to be a patron to find that post or to listen to the playlists. I think there's also a link to them on Tumblr somewhere. I will reblog all of these things, retweet these things. It's also on Twitter. You can find it, and you can find the link. Hearts and Thorns. How did you think of the plot line of the campaign? I didn't.
I suppose it only became Lily until Paddy turned up, didn't it?
Well, so I mean, like D&D is collaborative, right? So the plot is not necessarily something that I have to think of. It sort of happens as we're doing the game. Everybody has their own backstories and stuff that we write together, and then I sort of make stuff happen.
So we take turns, don't we?
Basically, like you have story arcs where you can investigate your own backstory. I wouldn't really say that I thought of the plot. I mean, occasionally I have like moments where I'm like, oh my god, this is such a good idea. Oh man, write this down right now. But in general, I don't really do that much, I'll be honest.
I'm just going to say, like, no spoilers, but like Gwing's arc was incredible. I just remember it being so good.
I think we can talk about Gwing, because her story happens kind of before Paddy joins the party.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we're ever going to see it on screen.
But it comes into play with her episode a little bit, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, of course it does.
But it was real good. It was real good.
Gwing's was more sort of effort on my part because Gwing had lost her memory, right? She didn't know who she was. So I guess in that case I did some writing. I don't know, it doesn't feel like something I should take credit for is the plot. Ridiculously, I guess. Yeah. How long did it take to make the Paddy animatic?
Oh my.
Well,
So
it only took so long because there was there was a long pause in the middle of it. But
yeah, that we had 7 months basically. Obviously that wasn't us working on it all the time. The reason these things take so long is because we all have to do our day jobs in between. Boy. And also this one took a long time because a lot of stuff came up that I don't know. It's not really something for me to talk about. But a lot of things happened and we had to take a pause. It was a bad time, basically. It was a bad time, wasn't it? So we had to stop working on it. This one has taken a little longer than we thought because Alex was like, okay, well, I'm going to get top surgery and the waiting list is like 12 weeks from today. And we were like, rad. Okay, so we've got 12 weeks to sort of plan everything out. It's 3 months. Awesome. And then he gets a letter like the next day, which is like, soon.
Well, it was like next week.
Yeah.
Next week.
Like, it was just so the sprint. Okay,
And
so
now the boy can't hold a pencil, bless him.
yeah.
And he's just,
Yeah, he's in recovery. Yeah, so this one has slowed because of Alex's recovery.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah? Well, by the way, I've kind of taken over for a second because we got something to explain. So, excitingly, we've added 2 new people to the art department, art department, oh my god, how profesh. We've added Matt and Beth into it because, they're really talented and they're really, really good. But me and Alex did the bad thing where we were like, hey, you guys know exactly what you're doing. Go ahead and do your thing. And obviously, that was bad on my and Alex part because there's, miscommunication and stuff. So now we kind of have to all get in the same room and get on the same page, which is kind of why things are kind of taking its time at the moment.
More people added into the mix, basically.
Yeah, and
just needs a bit more management.
Yeah,
doesn't it? That's
and
all.
Matt and Beth are doing real good. We've just got to make everything a lot clearer, so then things can run smoothly. But hopefully that won't be much longer, and we can get back into the swing of it. And hopefully this episode won't take so long. Anyway, thanks. Back to Jenny.
I write the music.
As he fades in the face. Transition.
I need to get my 2 seconds of fame in. Is there even a picture of me anywhere?
Yeah, you're on our website.
Am I?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And you've got a little wizard icon.
I was about to ask you what your website address was.
Our website address is shriekingwizard.com.
Oh no, I am. Yeah.
You should go look at it. It's pretty great. Beth put a lot of hard work into it.
Yeah, she
It's
really
so swish.
I am on it. Yeah, no, my bad. As you were.
It's a blind owl, which I keep wanting to read as it's a blind bull.
That's me.
Do goblins in the world of High Hopes have a tails? No, they don't.
I don't really know much about the goblins in our world.
No, you don't. Brio's... No, Brio's the only goblin we've met. No, according... Well, yes. Okay, so here's the thing. We exist in 2 points in time. There's the point in time that we are at in the animatic, which is obviously all of the lore and stuff that the audience know, that you guys know. And then there's the point in time that we're in, which is where the campaign is.
4 years later.
Oh, man. So, yes. The party of... No. Goblins don't have tails. And I don't think for any reason except that none of us we just hadn't thought about it.
Well, it's the same reason why Dragonborns don't have tails, right? In our campaign.
Oh, yeah, that's true, actually. We have this sort of running thought that Hydrasil is like the only Dragonborn with a tail because...
He's practically a monster.
Yeah, because he's the most monstrous. He's not really a Dragonborn, he is a thing. And that humanoid creatures don't have tails per se because they're people. I mean, I know that's not particularly true of all races, like tiefling have tails. But, they're sort of the exception that proves the rule. So yeah, goblins don't have tails, just because we didn't really think about it. Email14 says, how long has the party been together in game? There are a couple of parties, basically. There's the original party, the very original party, and then there's the party that we get when Paddy joins, and then there is third stage, and then there's fourth stage, right? Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So, the year at the start of the story is 2990. The Fall of Amarden, 2990. So that's when the original party is meets each other. And then Paddy joins 4 years later, I think.
Man, you're nearly at a new millennium.
Yeah, no, that's the point.
That's really exciting.
That is
That is the whole point.
That is one whole plot point that I did actually write.
We are on a time limit. It's stressful.
So Paddy joins 4 years later, 2994, and we're in 2995 now, I think. Let me just scroll down to the end of this document. Yeah, 2995. That's like, it's like, that thing like if you replace all of the parts of a thing one by one, is it still the original thing? The High Hope says a thing has existed for 4 years, right? 5 years? What did I say?
The game itself is coming up 5 years, but the actual story, I'd say, is about 4.
In game?
Yeah, in game is 4.
IRL, we've been playing for 5 years. Yeah.
Be 6 years next year.
Spicy. Mega DXD66. What happened to Zeta? And also, what is your opinion of hybrids in your D&D world, like Tiefling and Tabaxi hybrid? So Zeta, you may have heard that Zeta got sucked into a bag.
Oh my god. So Katie.
Of course it was Zeta.
So Katie.
That's all I'm going to say about that. What is my opinion of hybrids? I think if it's logical, so like if you got two parents, then, if you got a tiefling parent and a tabaxi parent, then yeah, that makes sense. And I think you have to take the negatives with the positive, right? You can't just have all of the cool stuff that a race gets. You have to have the bad stuff too. But otherwise, yeah, whatever. I don't care. Boopers to Lupus asks, where do I find all the episodes? Why, on youtube.com/ABD Illustrates. Only chapter 1 and chapter 0 are out at the moment. We're working on it. This would be a good time for me to mention that the show will never be behind a paywall, and Patreon will never have early access, because we think that feels a little skeezy, I guess. It feels wrong to withhold it. So whenever you're looking for it, head to YouTube and type in High Hope Slow Rolls. Lost in the Friggin' Woods says, how did you start DMing and what's the best part about it? I started to DM because I wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons. That's it, basically. The story goes that we were in our first year of university. It was winter, the roof was leaking, and Liam, who plays Nagar, was showing me clips of Critical Role on his phone, because I knew who Travis Willingham was, because I was a weeb back in the day, so I knew who he was because I looked up all the voice actors in FMA. And then I was like, oh hey, D&D's really cool. I had played a little tiny bit of it outside of uni, and I was like, oh hey, it's real cool, it seems real cool, My friends are real cool. And it's one of those things where you're just going to do it yourself. You just have to do it. So we did. I said, meet me in the library. Meet me in the library at 4:00 on Wednesday night.
In the restricted section.
In the restricted section.
It's literally been the best time ever since.
And it has been great, yeah. What's the best part about it? Well, first of all, it means I get to hang out with my friends. I really love the way that we all get to live these other people. I also really love scaring the absolute shit out of them. Yeah, my favourite part is the way that my friends react to D&D. The screaming and the shouting, the few moments where we've all had a cry. Yeah, it's brought us much closer together. I love it. Anon asks, I'm not quite sure if you can answer this question, but here we go. How do you create a D&D character? What are the basic steps you follow? Do you start with a theme or with a class or the design? Happy holidays, my guys, my gals, and my non-binary pals.
Oh, I like that.
Yes, so I'm not going to answer how you create a character mechanically because it's relatively complicated. Well, it's not complicated, but it's like a whole thing.
It's a process.
It's a process.
Yeah.
You should get yourself a copy of the Player's Handbook for 5th edition if you want to play 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. You can download those illegally and get PDFs online, but there's a whole wealth of ways that you can do that by supporting Wizards as well. If you can't afford the full handbook, you can get the basic rule set for free from Wizards themselves. So go and support independent creators and all that kind of stuff, and read it. Actually do the reading. That's primarily, I think, a lot of the questions that we get about how to do stuff is because people haven't done the reading. Sounds boring, but, you know, even if you don't like doing the mechanical reading, once you've done it, you don't really have to do it again if you're a player, so just do it that once. As for the theme and stuff, or the class and design, so I was thinking, there's a couple, well, it's hard to say really. My example would be my newest character that is in Arcad and probably won't see on screen is a Niren Singh, who sort of walked into my head, sort of half-formed, because I'm obsessed with Arathis and the concept of worship of civilization. I found it to be very interesting. So I wanted a character through which I could explore that. So that's why Niren exists. He's named for like two of my favorite political figures, and he is a politician. That's one of the things that I wanted to design him to be. But he's the cleric of the Arathis. I wanted to see what her influence was like in the world, and because I built him to be from Kadar, he's kind of influenced by that as well. Amy, how did you do Gimgar? Was she just like I seem to remember the time that she was like, well, I'll be the fighter then.
Yeah, well, she was going to be a druid.
Really?
Yeah, because I was like, I want to turn into animals. Because that shit sounds fun. And then Katie was a druid and you didn't want to be a druid too? It wasn't that. It was more like, I want to be a druid, but I also really want to punch things really hard because I'm so angry all the time. I just chose a fighter, and also it was easier, right? I didn't understand D&D at all.
Yeah, none of us did.
And to be honest, I wasn't... It's so weird thinking about it. At the beginning, didn't really care much for it. I was only doing it because everyone else was, right? And I was like, fuck it, I'll be a fighter. And now, I am obsessed. And I can't stop thinking about it.
You had more time to think about Hashan, about making Hashan. Did you have... I mean, again, she was kind of built to fit into the world, right? As opposed to being, I have a theme, or I like Dragonborn. I feel I can say that about you fairly officially. So yeah, kind of whatever you want, right?
I mean, I'm not actually in the campaign, but my very first D&D character was literally based off Zoltan from the Witcher series. I've been playing The Witcher 3. And I just really like Zoltan, and I was like, yeah, I'll be be a bit of a dwarf, won't I? You know, and then that was it, and that's pretty much how I based my character.
D&D is magic because you get to do what you want. So, there you go. And that's all of the questions from Tumblr. So from Twitter, Andy Peacock at Drunken Storms says, how many players does the party range? I've seen many different characters connected to it, and I love them all. I'm curious.
We've had 10 at the highest, I think.
Yes, it is quite a big party, but not everybody's in it all the time. So you have Paddy and Malak, and Torlin and Mina, Gimgar and Hashan, Nagar, Rice Wine, Brio, Rook, Gwing, Terra, that's 12. Not everybody is in it all the time. So, usually... Zeta. Oh, damn.
13.
Oh, damn. 13. I'm so sorry, Katie. But you can understand why I forget people, right? I was hesitant to start listing them because I knew I'd forget someone. But 13. Not everybody's in it all the time. Usually there's 7, right?
They like swap in and out.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
They will all be on screen at some point, probably.
You'll meet all of them.
You will meet all of them. Are any of the characters in a relationship in game? From Tarinya at Simon Heel 1.
There's only one
At the
together couple at the moment,
point
isn't it?
in the show where we're at, where Paddy joins the party, Rook and Gwing have finally sort of... Rook was covered in beholder goo, and he was like, hey, do you want to go out?
And Gwyn was like, not right now.
No, you stink. So they are kind of a couple at the beginning of
I'd
this.
say they are.
The thing, though, I don't think they're really talking about it or
It's a
want
thing
to
that
mention
just
it.
happened,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Other than that, at this point, there aren't any couples. No. You'll just have to wait and see, I'm afraid. This person also asks, have you ever dreamt of the High Hopes and Rolls characters or the campaign?
I have.
I don't think I have. Weirdly. I mean, I must have done.
I've had a dream where I was Gimgar once. I can't remember what happened, but it was real weird.
Yeah, no, I don't think I don't know. I can't think of a dream where I've had one of. I must have done. It's all I think about all the time, so I must have done. Tariana also asks, are all of the members of High Hopes and Rolls in the Shrieking Wizard Co? And the answer to that is no. Some of them have got better things to do. The Shrieking Wizard Co is me, the Dungeon Master, Jenny, Amy, who plays Gimgar and Hashan, Matt, who plays Rook and Prio, Beth, who plays Gwing, and Terra, sorry. Jazz, who plays Torlin and Mina. Is that everybody? Is that all of us? It is, isn't it? 6? Alex. Fuck me. It's just too many names. Alex, who plays Paddy. Not in the Shrieking Wizard Co, but in High Hopes and Rolls, is Liam, who plays Nagar, who is doing...
He's actually an adult.
He's actually doing, important things. He's a teacher, right? He just earned his PCGE. Go
He's
you.
doing real good, real proud of him.
Yeah, we're real proud of him. He also does not help that he lives in Cardiff, so far away from us.
We miss him.
It's a bit of a commute.
Yeah. Also really far away from us, and therefore not in the Shrieking Wizard Co, is Katie, who plays Zeta. She's across the body of water on the Isle of Wight. And Sarah, who's still at uni, so
Yes.
didn't want to...
Phil.
Sarah plays Ava. Yeah, Phil is...
14 characters.
Fuck me. Ava. Jesus Christ. There's just way too many of you. 14!
Yeah.
Why did I say yes to this? Christ. And Rice Wine is played by Phil's brother Erin, and he sort of drops in and out as and when he can.
They're both real good.
Mm.
Real fucking good.
If you ever get a chance to watch any theatre with the Lee brothers in it, you should do it. They're real good. Phil and Aaron, when he can join us, they're a joy to have in the party.
The fact that like Phil will throw himself across the room in response to how
Malak is being treated. Yeah. Oh god, he's like my favourite person to push the buttons of, right? Because when he's Malak, he is Malak, right? And so when I'm like, lol, you gave Paddy, he like actually flushes.
Yeah.
Or like when I'm talking shit about him the villains are basically just designed to push everybody's buttons, and Malak reacts so well. It is so much fun. Okay, should we move on? Gender fluid wizard at the Lions Doug on Twitter. I'm sure that Akadan is incredibly LGBTQIA plus friendly, but if you don't mind me asking, how are homophobes or transphobes treated? Because, man, I want my Paddy boyo to be safe in his gay endeavours.
He's got Hashan to protect him.
Yeah. So these people are kind of treated with context-dependent harshness, right? Like, there's not a lot of homophobia or transphobia in our game because basically we live it. Right, and we live that shit every day. Why would we want to why would we want to role play that? It's not fun. It does appear occasionally because I think it's important that we talk about it, like as a society. So it does pop up every now and again, but not very often because it's shit. If the party find themselves unable to provide the adequate amount of justice to these kinds of people personally, then I make sure that NPCs that are homophobic or transphobic do get their shit in the end. Basically, I make sure that there are consequences, like the Vine. When you learn your actions have consequences, and if you're being a shithead, that applies too. Just on a side note, by the way, D&D should be fun and safe for your players. So if you're writing a campaign that is full of this stuff and nobody's having fun, stop it. Just be nice to people. It's not that hard. So moving on to Instagram, Excalibur Ether asks, who's your favourite player character? I don't have favourites. I love all of my children equally.
Correct answer.
Alicia Tushane asks, is the campaign still going on? It is, sort of very slowly now. We were really lucky we used to have a session every week whilst we were at university because we were all together all the time. And sort of past year and a half, 2 years almost.
We all live in different places. We're busy.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Liam lives in Cardiff. I mean, without context, that means nothing to you, but we live on the other side of the country. We're sort of located much more close to London and Brighton. We live in a different country. Wales is a different country. Yes.
Katie has the ocean between
Yeah,
her
Katie
and
has the silent between her and us. We're all from the UK, by the way, if you didn't know. Speaking of Katie, katie.models.props. asks, what's your favourite part about DMing for High Hopes? Well, Katie, even though I forgot Zeta existed a moment ago, it's you. I do really enjoy how it always seems to be Katie's characters that get sucked into bags or fall down pits or, just in general RMS. But my favourite part is you guys. The Lions Doug asks, are we going to meet any new PCs in the miniseries or will it just be the current ones? Depends what you mean by new. The current party in the episode is Paddy, Gimgar, Torlin, Rook, Gwing, Nagar, Ava. So if you mean new as in new to High Hopes, then as the story progresses, then yeah, you'll meet pretty much everybody. The 14 characters that we have to rotate in and out. But new, as in we've never already talked about them before. That's the NPC's job. So no new, brand new, spanking new characters. The last question is from Business Elf. What's your favourite part of the creative process? I don't know if I have an answer to this. My favourite part of making the show is having conversations about what stuff looks like, and then a couple of days later actually seeing it in reality. When we were talking about what Hydrasil looked like, and we were going back and forth, because, you know, we hadn't really discussed or really even talked about.
I'm just saying I had a clear image in my head since day one. We portrayed it really well.
What he looks like. I was like Googling pictures of lizards, looking for like lizard features that we could use. And Amy and Alex were back and forwarding this sketch on the group chat, and I was watching him become real as we were talking about it. That is my favourite part of
was really cool to see happen as well.
Man, the bit in chapter 1 where we talk about Imarden and Bairoth and the two silhouettes of those two cities next to each other. I mean, really, for the first time, that was me. I realised, oh my god, this is real. We're actually doing this.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well. Really cool.
Yeah, hell yeah. These days, I really like seeing the storyboards have gotten slightly more detailed so that we have better reference, which if you're a patron, you will get to see those at some point. You will have seen the storyboard comparison for chapter 0 already. You can look forward to seeing comparisons to these kind of things going forward. Is seeing sort of how much we have improved since even just the last episode. The expansiveness of the animation has increased. It's it's gonna be so good. I'm so excited.
Really good stuff. Oh my goodness.
And then I think that's it. This podcast was brought to you by our patrons, and you can join them over on patreon.com/shriekingwizard. Yeah, don't feel obliged. Always look after yourself first. And if you don't have the means to, but you want to support us still, the best way you can do that is by sharing our stuff with your friends.
Oh, yeah.
If you could make sure that two people have seen an episode, then that would be vastly helpful. Thank you very much for your support this year. It has meant the world to us. I'm happy to be able to say that thanks to our patrons, thanks to, well, just all of you, actually, that next year I'm going to be able to drop my full-time job either by half or completely so that I can work on this full-time, and the rest of Wizards are kind of looking at being able to do the same. We would not be able to do that without you.
Very, very grateful.
You have had a major, very real world impact on our lives, and the effect is immeasurable. We really look forward to showing you new stuff in the new year and working even harder than we did this year, 2019. So here's to 2020. There's probably some hindsight joke in there that 2020 vision is perfect.
2020 is going to be covered in 2020 vision jokes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you can see, I can see 2020. It's going to be awful.
But thank you very much. I hope you had a happy holiday, no matter what it is you are celebrating. And I hope you all had a good year. Here's to 2020. Thanks very much.